Welcome back to Sanford Days. Today we're revisiting Champions Ascension because the creators actually responded to me, and I know, I'm just as confused as you are. The following contains a lot of my strong opinions. Keyword opinions, don't get mad. So, let's dive into what I initially said, how they responded to my comments, and what do I believe the overarching narrative is here. Just so you're aware, the too long don't read version of my previous video was telling you how I hated the setup of the game, but I liked the combat, and then I showed you how to cheese the game in order to get the pay-to-win stuff for free. Keep in mind, pay-to-win is a very gentle term for this, because it was essentially pay to progress at all. You couldn't just keep going unless you had the currency, which is sold in uneven amounts, but we'll get to that in a moment. Another note that's important is they want all of your characters to be NFTs on the blockchain, so me showing you how to cheese those things kind of also showed you how to cheese their in-game, out-of-game economy. It's a whole mess, but that's the first thing I'd like to talk about is I hate NFT games. So allow me to first disclose my position on NFT games and why I think that they're garbage, so I can move on to the next points of the actual game. NFT games are the most trash games that I've ever seen in my entire life. I'm not saying that because I'm some Web3 hater. I'm saying that because I specifically abused one of these games to make a bunch of money a couple of years ago. It was super easy. I made the money on Blankos. Blankos was a, kind of Roblox-y game, which looks like it was thrown together in about 35 seconds. The music in the game was really, really good, but I still could never understand why people were purchasing the skins for absurdist amounts, so I decided to mint a whole bunch of them when they first dropped and sell them a couple weeks later. It worked like clockwork. Keep in mind, I would typically stay away from the NFT market entirely, however, it just looked like really easy money and I was right enough it was. So where is Blankos today to draw a quick comparison? Oh yeah, it's done, it's cancelled, it's destroyed because Blankos failed. All of these NFT games fail. They are a product first and a service second, if at all. Another NFT game that I was actually very much looking forward to a long time ago was called Crystal Islands. It was like a Pokemon game, except for every one of these creatures could have different parts that allowed it to use different moves. It was really riveting. They even got Wolfie VGC to work on this project with them, which is why I invested some of that Blankos money into it. Keep in mind, they could have lied about having Wolfie involved. I don't know exactly what he was working on there, or something to do with the combat systems, but they bought my trust with that claim. The game never launched. I got to play in a few of the closed betas, and it was a lot of fun. I wasn't allowed to film any of it, and it's gone. My money's gone too, but that's no big deal. I don't care. It was from Blankos anyway. And I do just want to stress this because that game that never made it off the ground was so complicated. It had so many different moves with so many different pieces and parts, and everything was so cool, and I was so excited for it to... I said so a million times there, but you know what I mean. I was just very excited for this project to launch because it had a lot of potential behind it. More potential than I see in Champions Ascension. And even if it were to get off the ground, on a purely moral level, I have a massive issue with making artificial scarcity for digital products. If it's digital, everybody can enjoy it. That's why video games are so great in the first place, is everybody gets a piece of the cake. But also, I totally get it. As a gamer, you want to play to earn. That sounds like the coolest thing in the world. Play video games, get money, and have bitches. Isn't that the whole dream? Which is exactly why people click it in the first place. They get addicted, they try to make money doing this. It's just selling to a fantasy rather than to an actuality. Now that I've established my bias with the game because of how much I hate NFTs, let's dive into what I did on my first video. I dove into this quote-unquote exclusive playtest to find that they already had a functioning in-game shop. One of the first things I did in this video was explain how predatory this is. Not only are you selling digital assets for a very unfinished game, but you're selling them in a predatory manner. You can't just buy the quantity of the in-game currency you want, you either have to buy too much or too little. This is something that we make fun of mobile games for because it's obviously predatory, but we all understand and accept that mobile games are predatory pieces of garbage. If you want to be some big Web3 NFT slinging slasher, then you're gonna have to do it a little bit better than this rookie move. This is offensive to the small player base you already have. Champions Ascension did not respond to this initial feedback. The second thing I brought up is the only free way to earn currency reliably at that time was to go ahead and risk your character's life in permanent death mode. If you managed to come out on top in one of these matches, you'd earn about 20 cents of in-game currency, 1/10 of what you need for a new character. And this is where their responses start. Woo boy, let's get into the good stuff. Blake, who I believe works with them because they were kind of responding in tandem, had to say, daily win bonuses were just introduced as a way to earn each day. On the 18th, there will be quest systems, further adding to that optionality. He also goes on to mention the raffle that was going on at the time, but I had mentioned that in my video. I think he just missed that bit. I probably could have worded it better, but it did also show on screen. screen as I was going through the footage. Funnily enough, they actually did respond to me, so I asked, why don't you just have people get a free champion once a day? There are more ways to earn gold in the next patch on the 18th with daily challenges. Numbers haven't been released, so not sure yet if you'll be able to earn a pull a day worth of gold, but there definitely should be more options for free-to-play players. As you stated, there weren't enough before, and that is definitely a demotivator for free-to-play players. Like, I see that you're saying that you understand, and I see that you're putting some ways to be less aggressively monetized, but it still kind of feels like a trap. Yes, they did start by saying the idea that I gave them that's used by pretty much every mobile game ever is interesting, now pass it along to their team. But I'm still not sure why you're selling anything. This is a pre-alpha, is it not? Shouldn't you be crowdfunding, sourcing for funds to build the game before selling pieces of it? Nevertheless, I did also ask Blake, who's, been chatting in tandem with Champions Ascension here, if I was right, if there's just a ton of bots in this game. And he said yes, it's likely you encountered a large number of bots when queuing. This really doesn't sit well with me. From everything in the marketing, I was assuming this was player versus player, and you had PvE elements, but you didn't put them into the arena itself. I was supposed to lose to players. If I was going into instant death mode and I died, it was because somebody bested me, not because there was a bot there that got lucky. Maybe the bot didn't get lucky. Maybe it was just better equipped than me, because the bots here have to be at least to some level imitating actual player loadouts. Maybe their loadouts are just better than mine. Players scale up, and some of those characters are a lot more durable and hit harder than others. There's probably some guy in the comments saying, well, just get good and don't die to bots, but I think this should be fully disclosed if you're going to be playing against bots and could lose your character. Speaking of full disclosure, Blake sent me a whole bunch of in-game currency, loot boxes, and other stuff inside the game so I could better experience the in-game stuff past the entry level. Blake, I hate to tell you this, but I'm certainly not doing that. I'm going free to play all the way, baby. If I'm gonna do it, I'm gonna do it like everybody else. Hey, Champions Ascension, you sent me those loot boxes, and we were just talking about like full disclosure and transparency and stuff. I was just curious, where is the disclosure of what's in the loot boxes? I could be wrong, I'm not a legal expert, but I'm pretty sure you have to tell us what's in the loot boxes. I can't find that anywhere on the game. It's super strange, but you know what else is kind of weird? The fact that you responded at all. And don't get me wrong, I'm not ungrateful. I'm very glad that you responded to me. Thank you very much for your time. But I just keep wondering why. Like, isn't it a little bit strange that you showed up and commented on a video that had 18 views at the time? Isn't it a little bit weirder that in that same sequence of events I got a whole bunch of credits to my account so I could see more stuff and do more things on my YouTube channel? You're free to interpret that all you'd like. All I'm saying is I'm a baby YouTuber, so you've got to have better things to do than talk to me. The way I see it, it could be one of two things. The first one being, you actually care about making a very good game, and you're disappointed that one of the videos on it was showing the less than awesome parts, and you just wanted that to be cool, and us to be good, and us to all go through our lives, and maybe I'd play that game. Or two, and this is the one I don't want to believe it is, you're trying so hard to drum up anything about your game right now that even a small little baby YouTuber like me, who's talking about your game, is some of that publicity you need. And you needed to try to push that further, and you hoped that you could buy me with some in-game currency so I'd give a better review. Or even if it wasn't that severe, you may have just wanted me to show off what's past the first initial paywall, but that would be sending more people to give you more money. Me showing anything past what a free-to-play player would have is only getting more people hooked. I don't know what's actually going on, maybe it's a reason I couldn't think of. I just find it particularly strange that 18 views was enough to get your attention. So, on the possibility that you don't care much about this crypto jazz and you are just trying to make a good game, let me recommend removing the crypto assets, focusing on the core gameplay design, and maybe speeding it up a little bit, because a lot of the clips you're showing on your channel are very slow and hard to watch. You should also disclose if you're facing a player or if you're facing bots, and then the exact quantities if you can. It makes for a better user experience. You should also look into the squid lady that I showed off in the clips here, because she cannot exist simultaneously with lava pools. It makes for a very unfun experience. If somebody were to be facing me there, they'd have a terrible time, they'd probably quit. So I'd say that the lava pits or that ability had to go in free-for-all because it's just an unfun interaction. Now that I've been constructive for about a whole minute there, I'm gonna go ahead and dig in and laugh at you for a second. Please tell me you didn't pay for this.
Mystical hollow screen.
What up, though? This is Big Snoop Dogg giving a shout out to the Champions team.
Just getting started, baby.
Let's go.
All right, let's go!
Guys, I want to like scream at the top of my lungs, but my daughter's asleep 1 bedroom first.
Hello, fellow gamer. I definitely didn't buy a cameo from Snoop Dogg because we're so great. This is double funny because it's really cringy, and at the same time Snoop Dogg tried to make his own NFT and that failed. So I mean, 2 for 2 there, buddy. Oh my god, you have an extended cut of the same clip. Hold on.
What up, though? This is Big Snoop Dogg giving a shout out to the champions team. Big Snoop Dogg is in the game.
I'm sure everybody who saw that really believed that Snoop Dogg is an avid player of this game. And have you noticed just about everybody who's covered this game, other than me, has been some crypto bro just trying to get on the next big thing with some big dollar sign in their headline? I wonder why that is. And that's because you can't have both. You just really can't. All of the crypto bros love to say you can have a great video game and have it be a crypto product at the same time, but you can't. This kind of greed corrupts indefinitely. It's the purest form of evil capitalism. You had to take fantasy and gladiators, 2 of my favorite things, throw them into a pit, and make as much money off of it as you possibly could. You don't care about the content as far as I'm concerned. I've watched your videos and I know how much you advertise that each and every character is an NFT and how they can be sold and bought and how they're on the blockchain. Or at least that's my interpretation of what I've seen. But the good news is, I don't have to worry about you very long. Champion's Ascension is dead. Prove me wrong. Let's go. Prove me wrong and right the ship. Fix the course. Or do what I expect you to do and suck every single penny out of every single user you can get your grubby little hands on. And Champion's Ascension is not the only game doing this. In fact, my entire advertisement history at this point is all just games doing the same thing ever since I clicked your advertisement. You're not the first nor the last, but you're just the one that happened to catch my ire. With all of that said, Champion's Ascension, I wish you the best of luck. I'm going to disappear for a while on the subject as I've kind of milked this one dry, but I will be watching from a distance, like you'd watch a train wreck. And I'll probably come by and play again soon, but not too soon. And maybe I'll make another video then, especially if I like what I see. If I like what I see and this game becomes something amazing despite the NFT assets and all of that jazz, I will eat my words. I will come back, make a new video, and apologize. I will beg for forgiveness. But for now, this has been San for Days. I'm Course, and I get everywhere. Bye-bye now. I love cheese.